Call me a photo the way I'm moaning. Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Games Kids. Today and only today, that's right, we are here to review and talk about Sonic Frontiers big update number 1, because this update ended up being more substantial in a lot of ways than I thought, and I think better in a lot of ways than we all thought. So I figured we're gonna go through each aspect of the DLC, talk about them, and sort of just give my thoughts on all of it. And of course, if you've been enjoying the content, subscribe to your boy, keep supporting me and all that jazz. Before we get into each part individually, I just want to say, yeah, like, we were waiting for this DLC for a while, but it did end up showing up when we expected it. We all expected it to be around March. It released March 23rd, and it seems like the next pack will be coming out around June 23rd, because again, we know it's going to be during Sonic's birthday. That's one of the DLCs for DLC Pack 2, and that means we can expect probably DLC Pack 3 in the fall. And another thing to note is Kishimoto actually made a tweet commenting on how a lot of the things he wants to change about the game in general are going to be held back for update 2. So if there were not too many quality of life fixes to the game, it's because he is saving a lot of those for the second update of the game, because they wanted to cook a little bit longer with that. So this update was more focused on what, you know, the content itself is adding, and maybe some small quality of life fixes that we will be talking about. Let's start with the jukebox addition to the game. So now there is a little jukebox in the game. That means you can change songs on the islands when you are playing. Now, there's a lot of cool aspects about this. First of all, I love that they turned this into a mini collectathon, because the way this works is each island in the game has 10 songs that you can find. They're all marked on the map. You sort of just go, you know, they're usually in random spots that, you know, wherever you would expect them, but you collect these songs and you get songs from across the series, and a lot of times they're actually themed around the island you're in. You know, for example, when you're in Ares Island, you'll find, you know, songs like Arid Sands, you know, so you'll find some Sonic and the Secret Rings tracks in there to fit that theme. You know, when you go to Uranus Island, you find more chaotic songs in there, you know, like you got Open Your Heart and a few other of the big heavy hitters from Crush 40. You know, I like how he sort of themed it around each island, and it's fun. It's an excuse to go back, explore the Starfall Islands, but also, I gotta give them props. I mean, I don't want to spoil every song, because I feel like there's a fun to going and collecting the songs and figuring out which ones are in, but for the few I wanted to mention, I was surprised at some of the picks. I mean, they had the E3 version of his world in there. They got songs from Sonic and the Black Knight in there. They got tracks from Sonic Mania. They got tracks, like, they pretty much got a shit ton of the heavy hitters from the series. I mean, 53 songs in there is pretty much a lot of tracks, and I think they did a pretty good job at nailing most of the bangers. You know, I feel like it's weird that they miss Endless Possibilities in there, because they have pretty much a lot of the major vocal themes. Like, you got Reach for the Stars in there, you got Fist Bump in there, like I said, you got Live and Learn, and a lot of the vocal tracks, but yeah, no Endless Possibility, maybe because that's the issue with, you know, Bowling with Sue, that made the original song. They'd have to put the symphony version, but I digress. A lot of good themings, a lot of good tracks, and I'm just very happy with the selection of songs. And what's cool about the Jukebox Mode 2 is you can actually keep the music on a loop. It plays during the in-game cutscene side stories. The only lame thing about Jukebox Mode is you cannot use them in cyberspace, and when a boss fight happens, like the ones in the areas, you know, for specific enemies, it cuts out the song. But once it's done, it will continue your track, and like I said, it applies to the side stories in the world, so it doesn't constantly get interrupted. So very happy with Jukebox Mode, much better than I expected, and I hope they add more songs in the future. Like, I know this was part of DLC 1, but I feel like it was so fun and it's so cool to have these songs that I hope they take the feedback and see people love it and just add more songs to these islands. Next up, we gotta talk about photo mode. Right now, photo mode is a big deal for this game, because it's the first Sonic game ever to include a photo mode, and in a lot of ways, it's the best thing that they've had, and some of the most, you know, lackluster. Now, what I mean by that is photo mode. I am so happy with it. In fact, I put a Twitter thread where I asked you guys to share your best photos, and you all delivered. You all are taking incredible pictures in the world of, you know, Sonic Frontiers, the Starfall Islands, and I'm so happy with the results. It's so cool, the camera angles you're getting, all this stuff. But I will say it is definitely the most bare bones camera mode we've had in a long time. It pretty much is what you expect. It's the standard. It's rotate the camera. It's here's the most basic filters ever that you could find on Instagram, and that's it. Like, you can't choose different poses for Sonic. You can't even, they don't even have like cool filters that, you know, Sonic theme with springs. You can't put stickers. You can't really decorate anything. Like I said, the worst part I think is that you cannot pose Sonic. But yeah, I feel like it's definitely bare minimum that they did with the photo mode, which again, like I said, is really upsetting because people are getting crazy incredible shots, but because of, you know, the limitations combination of not just like having to pause the game and rotate to another thing to get to the camera mode, but like just the idea of just, I would like to just, you know, in the teaser of the photo mode, we saw Sonic put his hand up and it sort of looked like he was taking a picture, and I thought that, you know, it was going to have custom poses because his model is really good in the game. For mods, it's going to be amazing. I mean, I've already taken pictures in the game using the mods I have in there, so that's good. That's super dope, and seeing people's pictures using mods is incredible, right? But like I said, it's definitely lackluster. Would have liked a few more filters in there, more positioning for Sonic, but aside from that, it's just, at least it's nice to have. It's something that I definitely wish was in the base game, but I'm happy it's here, and I'm happy the Sonic fans just have that now for now and future references. Again, especially for me, the most exciting part is seeing how people use this with mods, and I hope modders add more filters and figure out more ways to do cool shit with this. Now let's get into the real meat of this DLC, which is the Battle Rush Challenge. So this is definitely one of the most impressive and difficult and challenging things that they added to the game. I think they heard a lot of the feedback about the difficulty of the game and took that up a notch. So the way Boss Rush mode works is you pick each individual island, you know, from a menu in the base game, and each island is going to have a set of challenges versus different enemies in each island's theming. So not only that, you have to beat those enemies, but you have to do them within a time limit, and I gotta tell you, that time limit is not forgiving. Like, you really have to kill those enemies immediately, otherwise you will get an A rank. It's based on your time, not your performance, but you have to get those enemies out quickly, otherwise you're gonna start seeing, you know, A's and B's left and right. It does have an overall time you can get to sort of, you know, just get an S rank for that overall island. Like, you need, for example, 7 minutes for the whole island. So even if you did awful on, you know, the first round of enemies, if you ran it back and did incredible on another round of enemies, you could definitely still get that S rank. So it's difficult and it's forgiving. I definitely would recommend going in with max leveling up, because I think in that regard it makes it a lot more easier. I went in at around level 70 for combat, and I was struggling, as a lot of you have watched. You can go see that VOD of me losing my mind, especially for Uranos Island, this challenge. Oh my god, Ghost drove me insane, but I love this. I gotta say, this is the most challenging thing I've had in a Sonic game in a long time, and it was so satisfying to get through that S rank. I started to actually get overall S rank with everything, because it is a lot of, you know, S, 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 A, and then S, but having, you know, that even in there, the challenge of it, and then the final challenge for it is, you know, doing all islands back to back. So you are on an overall timer. They have to go through every challenge from each island back to back, and man, it is tough, bro. It demands a lot from you, but like I said, it is definitely some of the most satisfying victory feelings you get from it. And for beating it, you actually unlock an extreme mode for the campaign, and I'll get to the extreme mode once I cover that after the next thing, which is the Cyber Rush Challenge. Now this one is a little more, you know, easy to understand. Like I said, it's each island set of cyberspace levels. So like, you'll do, you know, Kronos Island, Ares Island, they're 1-1s, 2-2s, and you're doing them in a row, and you're trying to get, you know, trying to do them all under a certain amount of time to get an S rank overall for that island. And this one, you know, it's sort of just, you're doing the cyberspace levels, so there's nothing too impressive about it. It's sort of just a way to string arcade mode together almost, but I think it's cool in a way, just so you can finally track your records, you can get better records on it, and for beating it and getting an overall S rank. By the way, it is hell for a lot of people, not me, because I did that shit first shot on my stream, by the way, to do all the levels back to back. There's like the last challenge, I have to do them all. It's like going from 1-1 to 4-9 in a row. It's exhausting, but it's satisfying, and I feel like the timer is much more lenient in the Cyber Rush challenge mode. But I'm happy it's there. These are things, this and Boss Rush mode are things that I'm happy exist in the game. Now for beating Cyber Rush, you actually get a speed boost that you can use in the game. Now this speed boost is the one that you have in game. You know how in game you have that thing where, when you get 100 rings or max out your rings, Sonic goes ultra fast. You have that in cyberspace, and you're gonna need that for extreme mode. Now I haven't beaten extreme mode, but I've tried it out and I know everything about it, and wow, color me shocked, because this is Sonic Team listening. So the way extreme mode difficulty works is it is literally Sonic Devil May Cry equivalent, or, you know, Dante or die, where you literally, if you get hit, you die. it's a game over. There's no losing your rings or anything. An enemy touches you, you get a game over. It doesn't send you back to the beginning of the game or anything rough like that. It's just that if you get hit, you are dead. So that's already something, you know, fans really wanted. It's a sick challenge to have in there. But I think the best part about extreme mode is it actually changes the S rank timings for cyberspace. So now for a lot of people that were saying, hey, it's too easy to S rank the cyberspace levels, 1-2 is the only one. Well, enjoy this mode where all the S ranks are much harder. Even something like 1-3 had a much difficult timer, and that was me doing the homing dash on that level. And by the way, the game knows you're doing the homing dash now. If you do that move where you do the homing dash, once you beat the level, there's a little star on your loading screen that shows that, hey, you did this. So it's a little thing where it's like kind of the developers are kind of telling you like, hey, you're still good at this, but we know who you are, you know. And I get why they did it, because now the people that are beating the levels regularly, especially in the speedrun cyber rush mode, will feel more satisfaction from that. But I like the homing dash too much to just not use that. By the way, also for extreme mode, Big the Cat's coins cost you way more. All right, so you cannot just buy your way through Big the Cat's, you know, fishing easily. The things are way more expensive. So they really did tweak that extreme mode to a T to make you work for what you got to do. Now, the unfortunate thing is there is no reward for beating the game on extreme mode. No costume, no nothing. It's just the satisfaction of knowing that, hey, you can beat these things without getting hit, which again is a fun challenge in itself. But it would have been nice if they added something. And in general, like, I feel like this, I still am missing that lack of reward. Like, why was there no reward for like beating Sonic Frontiers in the first place? Why is there no big reward for, you know, beating what's it called, the game on extreme? Like, give me something. Like, the game has costumes, you know, we've seen the game have costumes. Give me some, give me a cape. Even if it was Sonic with a crown and a cape, I would have thought that was fire. And I doubt that would have taken too much work. And I want more stuff like that in the game, because also for beating Boss Rush and Cyber Rush, you get like a little badge on the menu screen, which I like that. And again, like I said, Boss Rush gets you extreme, which is fire, and Cyberspace Rush gets you the boost, which you'll need for extreme mode. But yeah, that's it really for the base game added content. But there were a few quality of life fixes. First of all, Elder Coco, you can now finally choose to simply pick, you know, upgrade everything instead of doing one by one level ups. I'm sorry to my soldiers that had to go through that, which thank God we can now forgive the Elder Coco. He can now die peacefully. Thank you. Just die. And you can also remove that Starfall event where the game turns like into a little pinball thing, which I'm so happy about. You can also turn off the animation where Sonic's eyes glows when you get all the rings for people that don't always want to see that. And that's really about it. Some physics were tweaked a little bit. Some people found some stuff in the files where there was an unused cyberspace track. There's an unused spin dash animation. They're starting to find the files for Amy, Knuckles, and Tails, because I guess they're working on that. But aside from that, that really is everything in this. Overall, my thoughts, wow, I am genuinely happy. It really feels like, to me, like this update gave me so much hope and love that I'm like, wow, like this feels like the team is listening. We're getting stuff that like is so fun and additive to the experience of the game. And like, I just feel like with update 2 on the horizon and then the big update in the fall with the multiple playable characters, we really are looking at a Sonic game that might be the best 3D Sonic game in the series, or just right up there with SA2 and Gens and Unleashed for people's favorites. I mean, it was already a game that I really love, but I just feel like they're doing everything right here and they're adding cool shit. Like, this stuff was cool. This is some of the most fun I had it with the Sonic challenge in a long time. Even if it made me rage, even if it was difficult, I like that. And I like that they're adding this stuff. They're listening. This is cool. This is awesome. And I'm so happy with the state of Sonic Frontiers, and I hope you guys are too. So guys, let me know, what was your favorite part of this DLC? Was it the jukebox? Was it photo mode? Was it boss rush, cyberspace? Let me know what's your favorite aspect of this DLC in the comment section below. And guys, thank you all for watching. You are the best. Peace out. I love you. Woo!